peace. Now we start with the breaking news. Kremlin aide Ushakov has confirmed that Russia has received the latest version of the US peace plan on Ukraine. However, he also stated that the peace plan was not discussed during the recent talks in Abu Dhabi. In addition, Ushakov has revealed that a US representative had met with Russian officials, though no specific details were provided on the talks. The development comes after Russian and Ukrainian representatives held separate discussions in Abu Dhabi, but no agreements or breakthroughs have been reported. Now for this discussion, we welcome Professor Vasilin Popovsky. He's a professor and vice dean at Jindal Global Law School, joins us live from New Delhi. Thank you very much, Professor, for joining us again. Good to see you. Now, looking at all these developments that's been happening for the last 24 hours, how do you analyze the situation? Do you think we are closer to peace than ever?
Difficult question, but all negotiations are useful to clarify positions, to see the dynamics, the players, what do they want to achieve. It can get worse, it can get better, it can stay the same. But we see kind of a rush in the United States to achieve something, which not always works, obviously. On another hand, the United States is the most powerful country in the world in terms of its military and economic might. So it's an important player, and obviously it needs to be taken into account what diplomatic moves does the Trump administration. We see a lot of movement. We see willingness to talk to both sides, to negotiate with both sides, to change some of the points initially presented, which obviously is good. We are usually supportive of diplomacy, though the question whether it will lead to a ceasefire, not sure yet. There is no willingness in Russia to reach a ceasefire, because normally you would expect armies to stop fighting for 24 hours at least. Remember, this is the model of all previous negotiations in the Middle East and elsewhere. Here we don't have that. Russia continues to bomb civilian targets, and that affects Ukrainian responses of total unwillingness to give up even a meter of its territory. So we have a reaffirmation of the positions rather than some movement into a common ground. Ukraine is clear, it will not give up, it defends its territory. This is international law. Russia violated international law, no doubt about this, not only in Ukraine, but almost everywhere in the world. And sovereignty is important, and for that matter, if Ukrainian continues to defend its sovereignty, it means Russia needs to withdraw its troops from all Ukrainian territory, which Russia obviously doesn't want to do that. Its purposes are exactly the opposite, to legalize, to legitimize somehow those occupied territory of Ukraine, but that also is no goal. The world will never recognize an aggressor to keep its territory. It's not 19th century. We're in the 21st century. We have rules. We have United Nations Charter. The majority of the countries in the world will never accept annexation of territory through illegal use of force, like what Russia did.
So, Mr. Popovsky, do you think, Professor, do you think that it is possible to move forward even if both countries not agree to not cede any territory to each other?
Well, they can agree to stop fire, and that's the first step. To freeze the battlefield, in other words. It happened in the past, in Vietnam, in Korean conflict, there was such agreement to stop fire and then somehow to negotiate what next. That is possible, as I said, but I don't see longer-term peace plan, comprehensive peace plan to work. Exactly. Donald Trump is in a rush, but his players, Witkov, it's not a diplomat, it's a real estate agent. And they act in a kind of a business transactional way. They would like to reach a deal, but it's not a deal between a seller and a buyer where somehow one can compromise and reach the right price. This is definitely not going to work that way. So I don't see him a very good prospect here. The continuation of diplomacy will be there because both sides would like to look like players who are willing to talk. But the problem again is Vladimir Putin. He's interested in his ego, in his image as the emperor of Russia, the new Tsar. He doesn't give up unless he's put under extreme pressure. See, when Donald Trump announced sanctions on the biggest Russian oil companies, Lukoil, there was immediate response in Moscow. They sent Dmitriev immediately to Florida for 1 week to negotiate some deals. They offer money. They try to bribe Donald Trump immediately somehow when they saw that move. But then United States should have continued that line of pressure on Russia. They didn't, and that's why we're back into square one. So both players, Putin and Trump, do the wrong things. Trump is asking for a Nobel Peace, but he cannot deliver that because he's not competent enough to do that.
Yes, all right. Thank you very much, Professor, for sharing that insight. Please stay with us as we stay on this topic now. In a new decree signed by President Vladimir Putin, Russia has outlined a strategy to boost the number